The Greater Accra region is the 14th to be visited by the building guarantor of the NDC. At a meeting with the Regional House of Chiefs, various traditional rulers present were given the opportunity to air their views on some issues of concern. Vice President of the House, Professor Ni Welenchi, spoke on their behalf.
As chiefs and fathers of the land, we support all our children in this election competition. Therefore, any chief tying and aligning his giggles around a particular political party is doing a disservice to the very people he is supposed to rule. I urge our chiefs to desist from partisan politics and save your integrity. We all know this year is an election year. Come December 7, we shall all be going to the polls to cast our votes. Can we have politics without insults and unwarranted blames? Yes, we can.
John Mahama shared the NDC's plans to deal with traffic and congestion concerns in the city. He shares plans to relocate some state institutions, intention to build highways and extend rail services to these areas.
We are looking to decongest Accra. And so when we come into office, we're going to undertake a feasibility study to move some of the government agencies and the ministries outside the city, so that we can free up more space and reduce the traffic congestion in the system. So some of the ministries, some of the government departments, agencies, we will move them outside Accra, not too far. There will be a highway between that place and Accra. We can even put train services between, so that you can just board a train and go do your business and come back.
Meanwhile, improving the transport system in the capital remains a central goal to the NDC. Mr. Mahama says the Ayalolo transit system will be revived if he is successful at staging a comeback.
Aside from that, Accra is a rapidly expanding cosmopolitan area, a huge metropolis, and so we need to improve the transportation service in Accra. And that's why when I was president, we introduced the Ayalolo bus service. Unfortunately, our successors have virtually abandoned it. And so I want to assure you that when we come, we're going to revamp the Ayalolo bus service so that I can service all parts of Accra and let people be able to ride the buses to wherever they want to go. Because we want to introduce a 24-hour economy, we must have an efficient transportation system so that people can go to work at any time of the day or the night.
Lands remain the basic resource for development. Over the years, access to lands in some areas have resulted in chaos. Flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, who is worried about land issues, has revealed willingness to find lasting solutions to the problem.
The issue of lands is a very disturbing issue. It's a vexed issue, and it raises a lot of emotions. And so for the last time, when NDC comes into office, we're going to set up a commission of inquiry on lands to make recommendations on what government should do in respect of Gadangbe lands. And at the same time, it will also investigate looted state lands, because the chiefs and people of Gadangbe gave land to government for specific projects. If government is using those the land for those projects, there's no problem. So Parliament is working, is Gadangbe land. The Supreme Court is working, is Gadangbe land. The airport is there. We all are using it. We are flying in and out. But where government is not going to use the land anymore for the purpose that it acquired the land, the rule is simple. It says give it back to the owners. And so we have to get a commission of inquiry in and investigate those who have taken those lands. Because you go and see lands that government is no longer using. Private people have bought them and are building all kinds of edifices on them at the expense of the traditional people.
Issues of encroachment of regional boundaries were brought up by the traditional rulers. The former president finds this worrying, but assured the matter will be referred to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources if voted into power.
There are several regions where we are having skirmishes because other regions are encroaching into other regions. And so it's something that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources will take up seriously, so that we do the demarcation properly. Everybody knows where it ends and where somebody else's begins. Because this is a cause of violence. In many areas, we've seen people lose their lives because of the skirmishes between traditional areas about whose land is which.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Greater Accra Region.
Welcome back, and we hit our big stories, and that's how we start. We're going to be talking about the tour of the former President John Dramani Mahama, and then we shall get into some crucial issues he's been talking about while on the tour in the next belt of the conversation we're about to have. But right now, let's cross over to Nanaya Ojima. We know the president has been interacting with the Gadangme groupings. Let's find out what exactly he's been up to, where he's been, where he will be today, and what more we can know about the mapping of where the former president will be. Nanaya Ojima, a very good morning to you. Where do you find yourself this morning?
Good morning, Benjamin. So the talk today is yet to commence. This morning, the flag bearer of the NDC will be moving to Tema, where he will be meeting some religious leaders in Tema. And after that meeting, he will move straight to the Tema port to meet some people who work with the port in Tema. And from there, he will come back to Accra, to Ayawasi West Wogon, where he will be in a meeting with some students. They call that event Campus Connect. So he will complete today's event in Accra.
Heading to Tema today.
Benjamin, can you please ask that question once more?
So I was asking, so he's going to be in Tema today?
Yes, so that is where John Mahama and the rest of the team for the NDC will be basically today they will be stationed in Tema and be touring the Tema area.
I see. What is the plan as you've interacted with his team? What have they been telling you? What is the vice president's message? What are some of the things he's been sharing in the last few days?
So yesterday he started the tour of the Greater Accra region, and the first meeting he had in the Greater Accra region was at Betuwa, where he met some party executives. And in these meetings, we call them the entry meetings. The party executives within the various meetings get the opportunity to sit with the flag bearer of the NDC, listen to him, and also the regional executives within these areas update him on the plans that they have to help mission of staging a comeback to power. So yesterday, he met with the party executives at the constituency level, and in this meeting, they had some other people within the party hierarchy. The chairman himself was in the meeting, and the Greater Accra Corpus of the parliamentarians, that's the NDC section, they were also in the meeting. They all had the opportunity to have their say at the meeting. Let's start from Johnson feeling this year. There's one thing that he finds very relevant is that the party will have to be united for the upcoming elections. According to Mr. Stephen Kesia, already he's going to part of the country on a reconciliation mission, and he finds out that there are a number of things that are not relevant. That these issues shouldn't affect the unity of the party in these areas. So he believes that it's about time that even if there's somebody within the party that you as an individual within the party do not like, this is not the time to show it. This is the time for teamwork. Come together, win power for the NDC. And from there, that is when these issues, you can put these issues behind you and win power for the NDC. That is more relevant to them as a political party. Now, from there, we had other people taking the podium. For instance, the Greater Accra chairman of the NDC, Mr. Emmanuel Ashimo, also had his speech, and according to him, this time, the NDC is targeting over 2 million votes in the Greater Accra region, and he believes that the Greater Accra region, which is the swing region, will have to decide this election. So if the party is able to make the number of votes, the 2 million target, it means that it's possible that the NDC will be returned to power. So he mentioned some of the things that are being done from his quarters to ensure that the NDC campaign team has the necessary resources to take over the Greater Accra region and ensure that they are able to meet their targets when it comes to the region. And also, the parliamentarians of the NDC in the Greater Accra region also made public their support for this agenda. And according to them, they are targeting about 9 constituencies where they will master resources and go into these 9 constituencies and campaign massively for the NDC parliamentary candidates in these areas to ensure that they win this 9 constituencies which are held by the NDC. But for the 20 that they have in the Greater Accra region, they are protecting it and will try to win more for the NDC in the area. Now, finally, John Dramani Mahama had the opportunity to also address the party people, and he was very insistent on the need to ensure that the party agents within the various polling stations and coalition centers are vigilant enough to protect the NDC's ballot in this election. He believes that it's about time that the constituency executive partner with the team from the national, from the national executive to ensure that competent people are brought up to be trained for the role of party agents when it comes to the elections. So he believes that it's about time that the NDC leaves no stone unturned, come together and unite and ensure that they campaign massively for the victory of the NDC in the coming election. The assurance is that if the NDC wins power, he will do all that it takes to ensure that he governs properly and also reward the NDC party faithfuls who work towards his victory. So there was an assurance for these people, party faithfuls who had gathered for the event. Immediately after that meeting, there was a drive through the Dodowa market where a lot of the traders mobbed John Dramani Mahama, and visibly we could see them take his praise and all come out to have take a look at John Mahama, who made a drive through the market. From there, he made a stop at the Greater Accra Regional House of Peace. So the story you played earlier is a story that is coming from the meeting in the Greater Accra Regional House of Peace. The Chiefs had opportunity to put their concerns before the flag bearer of the NDC, and he took his time to go through all these concerns that were raised by the traditional authority, and he answered them. And when it came to the issues of congestion within Accra, he reiterated the need for some ministries and agencies to be taken to the outskirts of Accra and good roads, that highways built to link these areas and Greater Accra, so that whoever is traveling from Greater Accra for a service in any of the ministries or agencies that will be relocated outside Accra will be able to go and come back within the shortest possible time. So that was how the meeting at the Greater Accra Regional House of Peace ended. From there, he moved to Abotokai, where he had the opportunity to meet some spare parts dealers, and there he spoke about some issues that have been affecting the work of these traders and mechanics within Abotokai. And his promise was that to ensure that the roads within the enclave are built to ensure that there is free movement within the Abotokai enclave. And he talks about the need for the economy to be revived, because he believes that if the economy is revived, these traders within Abotokai will be able to have enough resources for their work. Because at the moment, a lot of them are complaining about the dollar situation in the country, or the hardship in the country. They say the Ghana city keeps on weakening. So there is need for a proper economy to be ensured that the city is strengthened, so that these people importing spare parts from other parts of the world will be able to bring them in and have the necessary resources for their trade. So these are some of the issues that came up at Abosokai, and that was where the flag bearer of the NDC ended the first day of the tour of the Greater Accra region. Today he continues at Tema, and from Tema he moves back to Accra to have the final meeting, and that's the Campus Connect in Accra. So far, so good. The flag bearer of the NDC has been received very well in the Greater Accra region, and this is the region that the NDC believes will be the decider in the 2024 general elections.
Well, just a quick one before you take leave of us. Now that there's been all that talk about the confirmation of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has she been touring with him? Have you spotted her at any point? And two, has there been any commentary from the former president in respect of his running mate?
So immediately after the appointment of the professor, John Dramani Mahama moved from the meeting that announced or endorsed the professor straight to the Upper West region. At the Upper West region, the flag bearer of the NDC made comments about the nomination. He believes that so far the nomination has been well received by the public, and there is need for people and women to rally behind the candidate or the chosen running mate for the NDC and ensure that she is able to help the NDC return to power. And he believes that that's Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, will serve the interests of some groupings in the country, especially teachers and women. So there's need for all of them to rally support behind Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. So he has been insisting on that in almost every meeting that he has been to since the appointment. And even in the Upper West region, there were a lot of people who I interviewed, and they were all in support of the nomination of Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. So it looks like her nomination so far has been well received by party members and other people who are interested in that ticket.
Anything else you'd like to add, Nanayao?
So far, the Building Ghana tour has been to 14 regions of the country. Immediately after the Greater Accra region, John Dramani Mahama will make his way to the Oti region, where he will be having similar exercise. And after that, there are possibilities that he will go back to complete in the northern region.
Nanayao Jama, we're grateful for your time. He is a journalist with Love 99.5 FM, and he just joined the conversation. He's also been touring with the former president, John Dramani Mahama. We'll bring you more, though, on that conversation because we're going to continue to talk about politics and whether it pays to be honest. We have a conversation lined up. The former president has said that, listen, I was honest with Ghanaians, and for that, I was booted out. I told them what the truth was, what the real situation in the ground was. But it appears Ghanaians prefer promises, wild promises. But for me, I was not brought up that way, and everything in between. That is what the former president has been saying. So we ask this morning, is there a price to pay? Is there a cost to being honest? Is there a cost to it? And sometimes you look at the rhetoric from members of parliament, among others, those who say that, look, I was honest to the people and I tried to be above the board, but they don't want that. They want you to make wild promises. And they also want to collect something from you. If you don't give them that, they will not vote for you. We have that conversation coming up next as we line up our guests to delve into that all-important matter. We'll be right back with more.